Welcome back to Talk Tensors. You know we love to really dig deep into these machine learning papers, and today is no different.
It's going to be a fun one.
Oh yeah, this paper really had me going.
Oh, yeah.
At first I was so confused, but then as I was reading, I was like, oh my gosh, this is
Clever.
so clever.
Yeah.
It's called Binary Diffusion Probabilistic Model.
Catchy title.
Yeah, BDPM for short.
That's much easier. Yeah. What's so clever about it?
Well, it really changes the way we think about representing images in machine learning.
Like how so?
Okay, so like we normally think about pixels as having all these different shades of color.
Right. Tons of subtle variations.
But when it comes down to it, it's all just ones and zeros, right?
At the end of the day, yeah, digitally, that's how it's represented.
And this paper just leans all the way in to that binary nature.
Interesting. So instead of trying to treat the image as this continuous spectrum of color, we just acknowledge it's all just bits.
Exactly. And it actually leads to some really cool advantages.
Like what?
The model ends up being smaller, faster, and believe it or not, more accurate.
Wow. So by simplifying things, going back to the basics, we actually get better performance. That's really counterintuitive.
I know, right? It's kind of mind-blowing.
It is. So how do they actually pull this off?
I'm dying to know, too. But before we get into all the nitty-gritty details, can you give us a little context? Like, where does this paper fit into the bigger picture of machine learning research?
Sure. So BDPM builds on this idea of denoising diffusion probabilistic models, or DDPM.
DDPMs. Okay, got it.
These models have been super successful in image generation, but they've always had this issue with the whole discrete nature of digital images.
What do you mean?
Well, DDPMs, they're really designed to work with continuous data, smooth transitions.
Yeah.
But pixels, they're either on or off. It's not this gradual thing.
Ah, I see. So it's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole.
Yeah, exactly. And there have been a bunch of attempts to solve this, like blackout diffusion or argmax flows.
Right, trying to bridge that gap.
But BDPM goes in a totally different direction.
By fully embracing the binary.
Exactly. It's like they said, okay, let's stop trying to force DDPMs to work with this continuous data, and instead let's build a model that speaks the language of images naturally.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So how does it actually work?
Okay, picture this. You have an image, and it's like a stack of transparencies.
Like those old overhead projectors.
Exactly. Each transparency represents a specific bit of color information.
For each pixel.
Yep. And each of those layers, it's all binary, just ones and zeros.
So instead of one image, we're actually looking at multiple layers, each showing a different aspect of the color.
You got it. And to add noise, they use this clever trick called XOR operations.
Okay. I vaguely remember that from my computer science classes.
Basically, it's like flipping a coin for each bit.
Heads, it stays the same, tails, it flips.
Exactly. So instead of adding all this complex continuous noise, it's just flipping bits randomly.
That's so much simpler. But how does the model learn from that?
That's where the denoising network comes in. They use a special type of neural network called a U-net.
A U-net.
And it learns how to reverse this noise addition process bit by bit, layer by layer.
Whoa, so it's like solving a puzzle.
Kind of, yeah.
But instead of pieces, it's dealing with individual bits that have been all scrambled up.
And remember, we're talking about millions of pixels, each with multiple bits of color information.
Right, so how long does this whole process even take?
That's the crazy part, because it's all binary. BDPM is incredibly efficient.
I mean, computers love ones and zeros, right?
It's their native language, so the model can process everything so much faster, and it doesn't need as much memory.
So it's not just about accuracy, it's about speed and efficiency, too.
Absolutely. It's like the best of both worlds.
This is starting to sound pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there's more to it than just flipping bits and running them through a U-net.
You're right. They also use this special loss function called binary cross-entropy.
Loss function? Can you explain that one?
You know how in machine learning we need a way to tell the model how well it's doing?
Right, like a feedback mechanism.
Exactly. The loss function basically measures the difference between the model's prediction and the actual image.
And in this case, it's specifically designed for binary data.
Exactly. So it's
Right.
like a perfect match for BDPM's approach.
And so to sum it up, we've got the binary representation, the XR noise addition, the U-net denoising network, and this binary cross-entropy loss function.
It's a lot of fancy terms, but when you break it down, it's actually pretty elegant.
I'm starting to get it. It's like this symphony of ones and zeros working together to create this really powerful new approach to image processing.
And the best part is we're just getting started. Next time, we'll dive into the actual results and see how BDPM stacks up against some of the other big players.
Stay tuned, folks. Things are about to get really interesting.
Buckle up. All right, so are you ready to see how BDPM actually performs?
Oh yeah, I'm dying to know if it lives up to the hype.
Well, they put it through its paces on a bunch of classic image tasks, like super resolution inpainting.
And blind image restoration.
That's the one, yeah.
Okay, let's start with super resolution.
Uh,
I'm always trying to make my vacation photos look, left blurry.
yeah, who isn't?
Does BDPM actually deliver on that?
Oh, it totally does, and then some.
Okay, tell me more.
So they tested it on these standard data sets of faces like FFHQ and Celeba,
Okay, yeah, I've heard of those.
and BDPM just crushed it. It outperformed all these other state-of-the-art methods.
Like what kind of methods?
Oh, the usual suspects, gens, diffusion models, even transformer-based models.
Wow, so it's like the champion of super resolution.
Pretty much. And across a whole range of metrics, too.
Okay. I'm guessing these metrics aren't just like whether the image looks good to my eye.
No, it's much more than that.
So what are we actually measuring here?
Well, one of the key metrics is LPIPS.
LPIPS, okay.
And that basically measures how similar two images are, but based on how humans perceive them.
Oh, so it's like capturing the feeling of the image.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And BDPM scored higher on that, which means it produced images that just feel more realistic and natural,
Interesting. So it's not just about adding more pixels, it's about like recreating those subtle details that make an image believable.
You got it. They also looked at PSNR, which measures how much noise is in the image.
So a higher score means a cleaner image.
Yep, more details, less of that grainy look.
And what about SSIM? I think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, SSIM looks at the structural information in the image.
Okay, so how well everything is arranged.
And guess what? BDPM consistently got top scores across all these metrics.
Wow, so it really is the super resolution superstar.
It definitely seems that way.
Okay, I'm sold on super resolution. What about inpainting? Like touching up old family photos?
I see, like removing that random tourist who wandered into the shot.
Exactly.
Yeah, inpainting is basically like digital restoration. You're filling in those missing parts of an image.
Okay, cool.
And they really pushed BDPM on this one.
Yeah.
They tested it with scenarios where huge chunks of the image were missing.
Like way more than just a little blemish.
Oh yeah, way harder. Like imagine trying to reconstruct a torn photograph.
Wow, that sounds incredibly challenging.
It is, but BDPM handled it like a pro.
No way.
They used those same data sets, FFHQ, Celeba, and even Celeba HQ, which is the high-resolution version.
Okay.
And once again, BDPM achieved the best scores on FID.
FID, remind me what that one measures.
That one's all about realism, how realistic the generated images are.
So it's not just filling in the gaps, it's doing it in a way that actually looks believable. Like it was always part of the image.
That's exactly it. And it also scored really high on those other perceptual metrics.
The ones that focus on how natural the in-painted regions look.
You know them, PIDS and UIDs.
Okay, so 2 for 2, super resolution and in-painting BDPM is on a roll. But you mentioned a third task, blind image restoration. That one sounds even more mysterious.
This one is really cool. So imagine you have an image that's been damaged.
Okay.
Could be blurry, noisy, or like compressed so much it looks like a pixelated mess.
Ouch. Yeah, I've definitely seen those.
Blind image restoration means fixing it without knowing what went wrong.
So you don't know how it got damaged in the first place.
Exactly. It's like being an image detective. You have to figure out the crime and solve it at the same time.
That's a tall order.
To train BDPM, they actually created this whole data set where they intentionally messed up images in every way imaginable, blurring, downsampling, adding noise.
Oh, wow. So they really put it through boot camp.
They did. And then they tested it on images it had never seen before, and guess what?
It still did well.
It aced it. It outperformed all the other methods on those key metrics.
So we're not just talking about a model that's accurate, but also incredibly versatile.
Right. It can handle all sorts of image challenges, even ones it wasn't specifically trained for.
This is starting to sound seriously impressive.
And you know what's even cooler? We're going to get into the practical implications of all this in the final part of our deep dive.
Ooh, okay. I can't wait to hear about that.
Get ready for some mind-blowing possibilities.
All right, listeners, be sure to come back for the grand finale. We're going to explore all the amazing things we can do with BDPM and dive into that novel notions section. Welcome back to Talk Tensors. We spent the last 2 parts really getting into the nuts and bolts of BDPM.
All those ones and zeros.
Exactly. But now I want to talk about the so what. Like, what can we actually do with all this binary diffusion magic?
We'll get ready for some seriously cool applications.
Okay, hit me.
Let's start with something we can all relate to, old photos.
Oh, yeah, like those blurry family vacation pictures.
Exactly. Imagine taking those grainy, low-resolution images from your childhood
Mm.
and giving them a BDPM makeover.
So you're saying I could finally see what was actually going on in those photos?
You could. BDPM could bring those memories back to life with incredible clarity and detail.
That would be amazing.
And think about the implications beyond just personal photos.
Oh, yeah, like what about historical archives?
Exactly. Or medical imaging. Anything that relies on visual information could benefit from this.
It's like giving us a sharper lens to see the world both past and present.
I like that.
Okay, so what about those times when you want to actually edit an image, not just enhance it?
Ah.
Does BDPM have any tools for that?
Well, remember how it aced those in-painting tests?
Yeah, it was like filling in huge chunks of missing information.
Exactly. That opens up a ton of possibilities.
Like what?
Imagine removing unwanted objects from photos.
Oh, yeah.
Or restoring damaged artwork.
Cool.
Even creating realistic special effects for movies and video games.
It's like having a magic eraser for images.
Pretty much.
Okay, but let's get serious for a second. What about applications with real-world impact?
Oh, there are tons of those.
Like what?
Think about forensics.
Okay.
Blurry security camera footage
Mm-hmm.
or images from a crime scene that have been corrupted.
Right.
BDPM could help recover crucial evidence that was previously unusable.
That's amazing. It's like having a CSI team for every image.
Yeah, uncovering the truth hidden within the pixels.
Okay, but beyond these specific applications, I'm curious about the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Does BDPM have any implications for machine learning as a whole?
I think it definitely does.
Like how so?
Well, this whole binary approach, it really challenges the way we think about representing data.
We usually think about things in a continuous way, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But what if we applied this binary thinking to other types of data?
Other types of data.
Like, could we represent audio or text in bit planes
Oh,
and then use similar diffusion processes to generate new sounds or write stories?
that's mind-blowing.
Right. And on a more practical level, think about the advancements we could make in image compression
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a big one.
and security.
So we could store images more efficiently.
Exactly. And protect them better.
It's like BDPM is a seed that could grow into this whole new ecosystem of possibilities.
It really is. It's a super exciting time to be following this field.
I totally agree.
BDPM is just the beginning,
Right? Who knows what other breakthroughs are waiting to be discovered?
especially as researchers keep exploring this whole binary representation idea.
Well, folks, that wraps up our deep dive into BDPM. I hope you're leaving this episode as inspired and intrigued as I am.
Me too. It's a really elegant approach.
It really is a testament to the power of challenging those assumptions and thinking outside the box.
Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most powerful.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Oh.
As always, be sure to check out the show notes for links to the paper and all the resources we mentioned today.
And if you have any thoughts or questions about BDPM,
Or anything else, really.
yeah, hit us up on social media.
We love hearing from you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing those boundaries.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of binary diffusion models.